You spend less on the home, keeping our interest rate, beneficiaries. Look, I know y'all. Sorry, guys. I know y'all see me in here, but check out this interview. This interview, we're gonna interview somebody who's a father, a brother, a spouse, everything. But most importantly, he's a financial guru as well as a tax preparer. So if you need your taxes done, come see him. But we got Jatavious Jackson today. So simply put, I'm gonna need your help, brother, because I don't know. I'm trying to get right. If you're trying to get right, tune in. Yeah, I lost my podcast, but I need to find you, Jatavious. Let's do this. All right, so welcome first and foremost to the podcast. We thank you for being here. We want to get everything started, kicked off. Could you and would you formally introduce yourself for the audience and the people, the listeners, the viewers?
Yeah, sure. Jatavious Jackson. I'm the owner, CEO, First Take Financial Services here in Clarksville, Tennessee, 1989 Madison Street, Suite 122. I'm a Clarksville native. Went to Austin Peay. Got my bachelor's, got my master's from Walden University. Tax preparer, credit repair specialist, and a public notary.
Marvelous, marvelous. We love it, brother. And we, like I said, we thank you for being here. Thank you for opening up your space to talk to us today on the I Lost My podcast. So first and foremost, we like to start everything with a mental health check-in. How are you feeling today, man? Be honest.
Well, I'm good. Tired from working, but you know that comes with the territory. But other than that, mentally, I'm good. Emotionally, spiritually, I'm good.
And as you know, this podcast is centered around grief and healing and working through certain problems. So we typically bring up loved ones in this situation. Which loved ones do you come to mind that you may have grieved loss of or things of that nature?
Two in particular, of course, Kelvin Little, my brother, you know, my frat brother, my family. And then I had a cousin, Justin, that I lost a little over 10 years ago, almost about 10 years ago. Those two for sure. And my grandmother, I'd say that's the icing on the cake.
G Mama, is that the grandma from Mississippi?
Yeah, my father's mother.
Okay. Now the grandma from Mississippi used to get you right?
Yeah. She ain't playing no games.
Yeah.
At all.
So for those that never met the loved ones that you just, introduced to us, how would you describe who they were as a person, as the people? Like,
well, Biscuit, Kelvin, I would describe as probably one of the silliest big guys you'll meet. Someone who, I guess how they call them, gentle giants. That was more of his thing. His stature didn't really show his heart, I would say. As far as my cousin Justin, he was kind of similar, but he was also like, probably took people off a little bit how intelligent he was. But he was definitely kind of like a gentle giant himself. And then my grandmother just was a strong-willed African-American woman. Right. So hard work, could do everything a man could do probably. But she was definitely a soldier.
Love it. So we got three people now. Three people. So I need for each of them, what is your favorite memory? Or one memory, I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of hard to pinpoint your favorite, but what's one memory that you just, for each one, or two of them, however many you want to share?
Well, with Kelvin, I think it might have been right after we started college or somewhere around there. His apartment burned down, and he was kind of discouraged by it. You're already in the hood and you lose pretty much everything. So of course, knowing him, he don't want money from his boys. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna give him something. You know what I'm saying? Sentimental, let him know. Yeah. I love him. So I had a throwback jersey, a Larry Bird high school throwback jersey. And he wanted it. When I first got it, I was like, man, this is kind of big. I ain't gonna wear it. He said, man, that's hard. I want that. You know what I'm saying? So, one day I went and picked him up, or went to go pick him up, and I just happened to have a jersey with me. I'm like, man, you can have it. And he was happy. But how, as a man, you try to make it like, oh, thanks, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the funniest thing about it was, whenever he wore the jersey, he ain't wear no shirt under it. So I was always on his head about it. I'm like, man, your nipples gonna slip out, man. The jersey big. So for him, with Kelvin, that's that. With Justin, man, he's more than half of the reason I even got into doing music at a young age. That's all he pushed on me, man. Like, he was the Fruity Loop. Let's do some beats. Come on, cuz. Let's rap. And the number one memory with him is moving to another side of town, going to another school, and then just ultimately taking over the school with like one song. Damn. Everybody knew who we were. That was one of my dopest memories with him before he passed. And then my grandmother, I just remember visiting, and you had to be on your game. Right. You got out the bed and your feet hit the floor, and the sheets wasn't tucked and the bed wasn't made, she come in with a switch. So she was straight Mississippi. Wasn't no let up. I never seen her complain. She had animals, land. She did all that by herself. So her is just countless memories of just seeing a strong woman be a strong woman.
Okay. So can you describe to me, as far as the day it looked like with like the passing, like their passing, or like, do you remember them vividly? Mm-hmm. Can you go and just describe that day for us, son?
Kelvin's passing was like probably out of those two, like the one that kind of like, whoa. Mm-hmm. Just playing, we played ball Saturday, joked like we always do, like, man, I need to get in the gym with you. I'm like, yeah, come on, man. You know, I'm getting up. He's like, I ain't getting up early, bro. I'm like, well, you ain't going to the gym. And then Monday, just being at work and getting a phone call from a young lady that knew of him. I didn't know it was an issue or anything going on because of how she sounded. Right. But she only had so much information. The job called and said he had fell out. Mm-hmm. So I'm just thinking he tired or something. And then they added he hit his head. So now I'm worried because I'm like, you don't just fall out and hit your head. He had to pass out. So I was putting it together in my head thinking, oh, he's straight. So the first thing I thought was, let me leave work. I left work, went to get his mom, and we just drive and she's praying. I'm talking about the entire ride, you know, he's okay, he's all right, I'm just gonna pray, and, you know, and then just pulling up, and, you know, being in the room next to his body and just seeing him. But it was actually kind of like not funny. It was just weird because even in that moment, I was like, damn, he was fresh. He had on like these, he never liked dress shoes. Mm-hmm. And he had on the freshest shiny black dress shoes. But I had to make something out of that moment to keep me from, you know, going into a space mentally where you just don't want to get out of. So I'll never forget that. Just seeing I was right there with his body, seeing his mama, you know, cry, and hearing her say some things that just shocked me, like what he meant to her. That day, you know, it was a tough day. My cousin, he had Hodgkin's lymphoma, so one visit I went to see him, he was smaller, he had lost weight, he was a bulkier guy. He remembered me, asked me about my brothers, told me he loved me. He had never told me that before. So I could just tell he kind of knew something was going on. And then I came and seen him again. A couple weeks later, he was in the bed, unresponsive, really. And so it kind of clicked at that point, but I had faith. And then as soon as I left, the next day his sister called and said he got less than 24 hours. So I went back up to see him. He was, you know, basically it was a wrap. So, you know, I kind of was hurt then. And Marcus came too. Marcus actually came. So he probably doesn't remember that. He probably does. But that day was kind of like I seen it. Oh, my bad. That day I kind of seen it. What was it? My grandmother. She had Alzheimer's, so sometimes I'd call and she'd get me confused with my brothers. Mm-hmm. And then she was on hospice, I believe. So, and then her age, you know, you just kind of process things mentally instead of trying to tell yourself something different.
So as far as, I just looking back over the three, it was two that you could kind of process, right? or
Yeah.
kind of foresee that, you know, age or sickness. But the one was just, it was kind of like a shell shock.
Yeah, it was devastating. Mm-hmm.
So can you describe, I mean, my bad, excuse me, moving in the past, trying to work in the now. But have you allowed yourself to grieve those losses?
Oh yeah, yeah. I sometimes have a too strict mentality, I guess I would hear, because I know, that's a part of life. It's a part you can't control.
Right.
But the emotions I have for people, whether it be death or something happening to them, they'll know. So those people knew that I loved them. So losing them, I knew I can't hold that in. So I had plenty of time, even for the one I didn't see coming. It hurt, but I also understood, like, let me grieve, but my responsibility now is even more, because I know that person that counted on him, or those people that counted on him, can't anymore. So somebody has to step up. I just take on that responsibility sometimes. That's a part of the game.
So would you say that you're like do you go quiet or do you go harder as far as like after something happens? Do you go quiet and grieve? Like, do you feel hermit crabbish, like I just need to be in this? Or do you feel more like, nah, it's time for me to ignite it even more?
Yeah, I have a moment where the emotions go, maybe a day or two, and then it's refocus. That's just my mentality, is if I can't control it, I can't spend too much time emotionally on it. You think of the good memories, times y'all have had, and you keep going, because that's what most of us would say too. That person would want us to. So I don't necessarily isolate.
What's up, ILM? I Lost My Podcast listeners and viewers. I gotta take this moment just to tell you, we need your help. Support us, support the podcast, be a super listener, a super viewer. All you have to do is donate anything. Penny, dollar, nickel, it doesn't matter. We appreciate it all. And it's simple to do. All you have to do is go to PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo and type in I Lost My Podcast, all lowercase. That's right, I Lost My Podcast, all lowercase. It's simple. We're trying to grow this channel. We want to grow with you. And you want to see us do better things, right? Come on, we need better equipment. But until then, we're going to let you get back to this podcast. I know it's interesting, right? Yeah, I know.
I just kind of, take my moment to let out what I feel, and I never kind of really revisit it. Yeah. I let it out. And that, you know what I mean? Because I feel like if I revisit it, it's going to replay in my mind. Now I have reasons to be down, depressed, which is nothing wrong with it if that's how people process it. But for me, I have to let it all out. Right. If it's all in, I got to let it all out.
Let it all out. Do you cry? Do you work out?
Yeah, crying, yeah. I mean, I've never done much of that in life, but Kelvin's death and my cousins were tough because of how young they were.
Gotcha.
And, we ain't going to be a baby. We're going to let it out, though.
I got you. So do you have any regrets or remorse with losing them? Like, is it something that you wish you would have did more or something?
Yeah, definitely.
Can you touch on it for me?
Yeah, me and Biscuit used to talk as he progressed in his job. Like, we need to kick it more. Even the instance before his passing, 2 days, when he talked about working out. I would always check in with him like, hey, man, you got this job now, making better money. Don't start just eating crazy, And it just causes me to reflect on and just remember knowing I had more time that I could have. Now, we both were growing in our respective fields, but you just always had that little bit of time where you could have spent that. With my cousin, I just kind of feel like with music, I cared, and then after kind of like losing him, it was like it's just a talent I got. Mm-hmm. It's not the same. It'll never be the same. When somebody brings you something, the originality is there, and I wasn't caring about no music at a certain point. I just knew it was the talent I had, and he brought it to where it was. This is what we're gonna do. This is what it needs to be. So those two specifically.
Gotcha. So is that why I can tell the people? So is that why you kind of hard on me, like getting the gym?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Because it's yeah. That's a reason. Mm-hmm. I don't enjoy knowing I lost someone to something that they could have controlled.
Right.
You know, as a brother.
So how has that shaped you or your actions now? How do you carry yourself now?
Well, I live every day like it's my last. Maybe I'm too busy some days to show the certain people that I love them, but I know that if I was to leave today, they know that.
Right.
So every day, I live every day like it's my last. I try to do everything I can to help the next person, everything that I can to help my family, in hopes that both of those parties see that. But every day, I remind myself of those people. Every single day, remind myself of those people or pray and talk to them. And I know that's where most of my success comes from.
Cool. So, do you feel as though you're allowed to grieve as a man? And as a black man in today's society and world, do you feel like you're allowed to grieve?
Yeah, I think, well, for me, yeah, I'm allowed, and I think most black men are. It's just there's that gray area of what will people think, and I could care less of generally what people think, care less, but I definitely care less if it involves my emotions. You can't allow people to control your emotions, especially when they're about other people. So if I was upset and crying that I lost Biscuit, I'm not listening to anyone that, first of all, didn't understand our relationship, didn't know us, or let them dictate how I grieve, how I feel. But for me personally, yeah, I feel like me as a black man, and then all black men should feel that way.
So do you feel as though there are a lot of good resources and spaces for black men to grieve, or men in general, but more specifically black men? Are those spaces, do you think though it's enough spaces, or do we need more?
Yeah, well, I think in anything that's, well, me personally, if I was to answer that, I'd like to see more black-owned mental wellness and health checking type of things out there originating, specifically for men as well. You know, I'm not saying women have more places. They may, I don't know, but for men specifically, because that's where it starts. That's where the strength starts. Or at least that's what society says. And so we definitely need more, but I also think that it doesn't have to start as a business. Sometimes we look at the things we already have. The salon for the woman is her sanctuary. The barbershop is ours. And sometimes we get lost in man talk and forget to just say, hey, brother, you all right? You know, hey, you doing okay? What's going on? Because, you know, society makes it where it's soft to say, no, that hurt my feelings, or I feel this way, when in actuality, being real is never soft. So that's my mentality.
So when it comes to talking about, you know, when it comes to talking about your feelings and just your feelings in general, do you feel more comfortable with a man talking to another brother, or talking to a sister or a woman? Which one is it a preference, or?
Yeah, I have no preference. Any woman in my life or any female in my life can tell you that although I may go hard, I also have no problem expressing how I feel.
Right.
And I don't have a preference. I actually, when it comes to men, I've always been that way. I'm gonna tell my brother how I feel, whether it's about him, or whether it's how I feel, or a certain situation. So I always live my life like tomorrow I can't be here, so let me get out what I got in. You know.
That's deep. I feel like harboring feelings has gotten a lot of us men in tough situations.
Yeah.
So I love that. So can you think of a time or a period in your life where you saw a man or a woman go through grief the right way or the wrong way? And did you see, right way or wrong way? Have you ever seen somebody grieve, and what did it look like? Yeah,
I mean, I think for me personally, yes, I've seen both. Good, you know, grieving the right way and the wrong way. I think everybody's seen that. But, you know, one specific time was my mother. I've seen, because I've never, really only one time my entire life I've seen her grieve really bad. And it was even momentarily then. So that's part of where my strength comes from. And she grieved the right way. It was just unique to see her. You know, it just showed me too, like, the closer you get with somebody, it's kind of like the more you love them, and then, you know, people perceive it how they perceive it. But I've seen both sides of that. I favor more of the grieving the right way side than the wrong way, because you can really go into a dark place you can't get out of.
So I'm gonna let her take this next question because it was very specific. So 1 second.
Yeah. No, I spend a lot of time like on social media, so I see that for the most part, black men and black women, we're pitted against each other to make it seem like, one is doing more than black men, or like it's just we're against each other. When instead it should be like, hey, okay, I see my counterpart is lacking at something. Let me build them up. Do you feel like there's something that you need from like your support system, or like black men as a whole? Is there something us as black women we can do to like support y'all better?
Well, I think the psychology side of me always goes to the origin of things, and I think that in order to best answer that question, you have to know a person's upbringing, the dynamic of their upbringing. Mm-hmm. Even in my current relationship with my fiance, that's something that I had to step back and analyze myself, even though it didn't involve me. So I don't think that can specifically be it's knowing your counterpart, where you're at, and then knowing what made them what they are. Mm-hmm. That's what can kind of best, in my opinion, answer that. I think once you know what someone's been through, see the good they've taken, because we always want to see that, but also see the flaws that they've kind of gained from their upbringing, and you're not trying to correct them, but y'all are trying to work together to minimize. And then on the flip side, they do the same thing with you.
Okay. So in your personal life with your fiance, do you feel like when it comes to grieving, is she pretty good at it, or is there like something you're like, darn, even outside of your fiance, like just a support system as a whole, your friends, your brothers, is there something you need like as support, or do you think you pretty much?
I think people look at me and see how hard I go and sometimes think I'm emotionless, but really it's just the focus, the drive. I'll never just have a point where I'll say, or I don't try to understand, I won't be here, I don't control that. So I think a lot of people may mistake my drive and focus for thinking I'm emotionless. Even she says that, but I have no problem showing emotion. I don't require anything from anyone. If someone loves me and I love them, I just expect to see it in whichever way they choose to show it. And if I got to do a better job of showing how I love them, I want them to tell me.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm back, guys. So this is a question kind of off the radar. I just thought about it. We had an episode called Entitled Childhood F-Ups. And I know you're a father of two right now, 2 boys, and just trying to break the cycle or the miseducation. What's something that you think that you should or will focus on as far as teaching them as young men growing up, like what they can, how they can? What's something that you can help them? What's something you feel like you should focus on or you will focus on?
I could speak for me personally, but I feel very, very strongly opinionated and all black men need to do a better job in teaching young boys and young men how to be affectionate, not to a woman, but just how to show it. I vowed, and every day I tell myself that if I'm the worst father ever to my sons, I'll deal with that. But they'll never say I didn't know my daddy loved me. And affection is it's a lot of ways to show that. But just from my upbringing, man, you can have a list of things and say, this person did this, they did that, they did that. And then you miss one and you think, well, I did 9, but that one was so important. It overcrowds the 9. So I think just for me personally, affection, man, I want to be able to teach my boys, even before they get to the woman part, just being able to feel okay saying how they feel to me. They may not be okay saying it to someone else. But before you leave out this house, I need to know what's going on with you, how you feel.
Oh, hey guys. Hey. Sorry to interrupt your viewing of this podcast or listening to this podcast. But I have to say that if you want to be a super listener and support us, our improvements to our channel as we upgrade, the more that we put out things on our platform, feel free to contribute whatever you feel like contributing, if any, to our Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. And everything is lowercase. I lost my podcast. And just, donate whatever you feel like donating if you like to support what we have going on. So thank you guys so much for the love and for listening thus far. And I hope you continue to enjoy the podcast. Bye, guys.
where you need help. But affection is so big in the Black community with men, man. Like, we feel like we soft to show our sons that. I created you, so it's my job. It's my job first. But that's my opinion.
So as far as I love that affection point, because I've, over the more recent years, I'd say 5, it started jokingly, but I would tell some of my homeboys, I love you. You know what I'm saying? Now, you're near and dear to my heart. And I tell you sometimes, and you reciprocate it back. And I love it. And it's like, we need that. But do you feel like a lot of your homeboys reject it? Because in my corner, I got some homeboys that if I tell them I love them, they like, man, come on, get on with that.
Yeah.
Like, is your corner kind of rejecting or accepting to?
Well, it's the upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the upbringing, man. Like, society can control you. Your upbringing is a part of that as well. Like, when you say it, I have no problem saying it back because the person that's saying it to me isn't going to judge me. So why would it matter? You know, it's not as deep as guys make it. If you love someone, you just tell them. I don't care what the gender is. In my corner, I wouldn't care if they, like, it's whatever with me. If I love you, I'm going to tell you. I have no problem. I tell my real brothers that. We say that anytime we talk on the phone, most of the time before we hang up, because part of that may be the lifestyle each of us live, but I think some of that is just because we genuinely mean it. And so, again, it comes back to that. Like, if my upbringing was a man and or woman there teaching me how to not show my affection or not say how I feel, then that's what's going to be built up in me. But if it's just free flowing, not just I'm telling everybody I love them, but hey, how I feel can just come out the right way, then you're just going to continue to grow that way. So for me, in my corner, I don't think anybody would feel weird about it because they know I'm that type of guy. I'm going to say what's on the front of my brain respectfully. And, as far as talking to my homeboys, I could tell them that.
Right.
And they'll accept it because it's me. Now, it could be different for someone else individually, though.
So straight up, I'm going to say on camera, brother, I love you.
I love you too, bro.
That's my dog, man. That's my dog. That's how we started, though. Guys, it's simple. Simple. So, we're about to switch it up. We coming to a close. So, we like to kind of like bring it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, the first question is, what's a song that comes to mind when you think of each of those loved ones you talked about?
Oh, man. Biscuit is anything Gucci from 2008 to 2010. Mm-hmm. Anything. Kick a Dough, Lemonade, OJ Copper Chicken, anything Gucci. As far as cuz Justin, he liked East Coast music. Uh-huh. He liked some down south, but he liked more like East Coast. And my grandmother, I never really knew her taste. She was old school. Okay. But the other two, I already knew what it was.
Cool. Is it any song that you hear and it reminds you of being out of Mississippi with grandmama or?
Oh yeah, well, David Banner.
David?
Yeah, David Banner.
Grandma?
For grandma?
No. Oh, I thought you were talking about the state.
No,
not listening to David Banner. No, because I never, like I said, I never really knew her, understood her preference. But hearing his music reminds me of her. Oh, okay. Because all Mississippi artists, for the most part, sound the same way.
Yeah. Did you hear that new Big Crit?
Yeah. Well, come on, man.
Oh, yeah.
Come on now.
I just had to ask, man. Digital roses don't die, right?
Yeah, come on, man. Road clean.
Oh. So, let's end it out, man. So, what would you tell each of them if you could look at them right now, and let's say heaven or wherever they transcended to has a direct line to this camera? It's your time to tell them what you want to tell them. Anything.
Oh, well, how I live, they're still here, so I would tell Biscuit that, I know what he's thinking about when it comes to his children and them being together more. And I would tell him I hear him. Don't worry about it, bro. Stop stressing, bro. And I would tell him, don't worry about telling me to chill about taking care of his mama. Right. I would tell him that's what I'm supposed to do. And I would tell him I love him and, continue to be a part of the success I'm having. My cousin, he gonna be on my head. I'm gonna tell him I'm sorry, man. The music stuff, when you left, I lost a little bit of that fire because I didn't originally have it to begin with. It was just something I could do. He helped groom it into something that was great, and so I would definitely have to apologize, but also tell him I love him, and thank you for helping be a part of the success I have. My grandmother, I would tell her I love her, and that I wish as I got older that I chose to go down that dirt road to come see her, knowing she was withering away, and not allowing my life to control the time I consume here, when sometimes it's just a phone call. So that's what I would tell her.
Way to end it out, brother. Look, if y'all ain't seen, this has been heard, this has been a great podcast. Anything else you want to leave on, or?
Nah, it's tax season. First Take Financial Services, man. 931-291-4230. Text, call, voicemail, email, bird with a note attached to the foot. Whatever it takes.
10-4, come see my boy Clarksville. Stand up.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.